Hello friends, welcome to yet another video in the paper 1 series for UGC NET examination. Now last year NTA took up the charge of conducting UGC NET exam and they also made certain changes in the syllabus. The most important and the most frequently asked change that was made in the paper 1 syllabus was the inclusion of a new topic, that was Indian logic. When this topic was added into the syllabus, there was a lot of hustle bustle. People had no idea, absolutely no idea about what Indian logic is, and they were so eager to know about how to tackle this topic. I was answering these queries one by one over phone, over WhatsApp, but then I realized that why not make a video on the same so that I can address this query of a lot of people all together. So in this video, I'm going to look at Indian logic and I'm going to take you through the different types of Pramanas, which is the major topic of Indian logic. But before we get into it, I have a small request in front of you. If you want any further videos on paper 1, if you're struggling with any particular topic of paper 1, please put that in the comment section below so that I get to understand what kind of videos you people are looking forward to, what you are liking in my videos, where you want me to change my approach. Also, if you have not yet clicked on the subscribe button, I think you better do it. Also click on the bell icon just right next to the subscribe button so that you get notified every time I post a new video. So now, without any further delay, let's jump right into the topic and let us see what is Pramanas. Indian logic is basically a topic which was added in the logical reasoning portion because they wanted Indian students like us to also know how we and our sages, our Rishi Muni, they all looked at logic and how according to them we understand world, we try to gain knowledge. So this concept is known as Pramanas. Pramanas is basically ways to acquire knowledge. You might be confused about this topic, I'm pretty sure. So what I'll do is I'll give you a small example, a very real life example, so that you can connect exactly to what I'm talking about. If you have ever observed a newborn baby, you must see that he is tabula rasa. Tabula rasa was a term coined by Western philosopher who, according to whom, when a person is born on this earth, his mind is like a blank slate. He doesn't know anything about this world, about the activities, about the concepts, about how to speak, how to communicate. But then gradually he starts learning. Now, how do he learn? There are so many ways in which a child learns. If you have observed a small kid, you must have seen that he keeps on looking at people, he keeps on staring at a table fan, maybe at a pen, and we don't know this is how he's trying to understand and grasp so many things about the world. So according to the Advaita philosophy, Pramanas are of 6 types, and these 6 types are 6 different ways how we acquire knowledge, how we learn so many things about our world. So now we are going to look at all the 6 types of Pramanas and we are going to see how each of them are different as well as a bit similar to the others. The first kind of Pramāṇa is Pratyaksh. Now Pratyaksh is a term, a Hindi term that almost all of us know. प्रत्यक्ष मीन्स कोई भी चीज़ को सामने से देखना. अगर मैं बोलूँ कि ये प्रत्यक्ष आपके सामने खड़े हैं, दैट मीन्स ये इंसान एकदम आपके आंखों के सामने है, राइट इन फ्रंट ऑफ योर आईज. सो प्रत्यक्ष मतलब किसी भी चीज़ को, नॉलेज को गेन करना बाय डायरेक्ट contact with the knowledge. That means you have 5 sense organs. When these sense organs interact with the world and directly you gain certain knowledge, that is pratyaksh. A very simple example about pratyaksh. A child who absolutely has no idea about the worldly things, he for the first time sees a dog eating. Now when he sees a dog eating, From his eyes itself, he can understand that dogs don't eat like humans. How do dogs eat? Dogs directly eat from their mouth. They don't have hands. Now, this knowledge about dogs, that dogs move with 4 legs, they don't have hands, they eat directly from the mouth, this is pratyaksh knowledge for a child. He directly understood something by looking it from his own eyes. So pratyaksh means knowledge gained by coming into direct contact with the 5 sense organs that we are blessed with. The next kind of pramanas is anuman. Now, anuman again is a Hindi term which we commonly use. Now, what is anuman? When we say कि तुम्हारा क्या अनुमान है कि स्वाति के कितने marks आएंगे? That means what do you assume? How much marks is Swati going to get? What is your assumption about Swati's marks in a particular subject? So, anuman means guessing, educated guess. Now, what is educated guess? We come across situations every day, and on the basis of recurring situations, we form analysis. अगर कोई इंसान हमेशा लेट आता है तो ये हम अनुमान लगा लेते हैं कि वो नेक्स्ट टाइम भी लेट आएगा. Now, what is that? On the basis of that recurring data, past data, we try to give our own analysis. We try to give an educated guess. For example, हमने हमेशा ये देखा है अपनी लाइफ में कि जब भी कोई इंसान रोता है, that means he either suffering from physical or any emotional pain. Now, if I see a person crying in front of me, what will be my anuman? What will be my educated guess? That he must be facing any issue in his life. He must be sad. He must be in pain. Now, this is anuman. जब हम कोई knowledge gain करते हैं basis of the past knowledge that we have, this is called anuman. हमने हमेशा देखा है कि जहाँ फायर होती है वहाँ से धुआं निकलता है. So if we find that there is smoke coming out of a room, that means we can assume that there must be a fire. So you can see how we are trying to gather knowledge. One was pratyaksh, when we see something directly in front of us. The other one is when we are trying to understand a phenomena by looking at the past data that we have for phenomena like those. So what is upama? Upama is the third kind of pramanas, which basically means learning by observing similarities. So upama dete hain hum. What is upama generally? That is comparison or analogy. Now there's this beautiful Bollywood song which is one of my favorites, and the lyrics are, ये चांद सा रोशन चेहरा, जुल्फों का रंग सुनहरा, ये झील सी नीली आंखें, कोई राज है इनमें गहरा. If you look at this beautiful song, you will find that there are countless analogies given in this song. Chand sa roshan chehra, that means in order to describe the face of the beloved, what we are saying, iska chehra ekdam chand ke jaisa hai. She is so beautiful that she looks like a moon. ये झील सी नीली आंखें, इसकी आंखें कैसी हैं? हाउ डू यू डिफाइन योर बिलवड्स आईज? झील सी नीली आंखें मतलब झील जो होती है दैट इज नदी, नदी की तरह गहरी और नीली इनकी आंखें हैं. सो हाउ आर यू डिस्क्राइबिंग वन थिंग बाय कंपेयरिंग इट टू द अदर? आई वॉन्ट टू know what kind of eyes your beloved has. So you must have noticed a jheel, a river. So just like a river, my beloved eyes are like. So you can see how beautifully through analogy, through comparison, we can learn so much about other things. So this is the beauty of upma, when you try to understand the world by comparing it to some other things which you have already understood. अगर मैं Samsung के phones use कर रही हूँ and if I want somebody to know what Samsung phones look like, I might compare it to Apple phone. Okay, so what I do is, a person is having Apple phone, he might say कि यार ये कैसे चलता है? So I might say, तो you have used Samsung, right? So just like Samsung, it has this app. So when you click on this app, just like in Samsung you go to this app, in Apple you go to this app. So you can see how by explaining by a comparison, I can give knowledge to somebody. I can understand knowledge. I know what does Apple look like. Now when I compare the functionality of an Apple phone with Samsung, I can exactly know how Samsung works. So this is how, by analogy, by upma, you can gain so much more about this world. The next kind of pramanas is going to be a bit difficult for you to digest, but I'm trying my level best to simplify it as much as I can. So the next kind of pramana is arthapati. Now what is arthapati? Let's break the word and try to understand it. Arthapati, किसी भी चीज का अर्थ निकालना is arthapati. Now, what do you mean by that? किसी भी चीज का अर्थ निकालना, simply assuming what is unseen and unknown. Now, arthapati in very simple terms means that suppose you cannot find anything, any evidence about something you cannot understand. You're trying to understand a phenomena and you cannot understand the phenomena by looking at what is present. Now, you assume something so that this at least seeps inside you. For example, you, according to your knowledge, know that a person who eats too much is fat. Okay? Now, you look at a person and you find out that the person doesn't eat at all in a day and still is very fat. Now, it becomes very difficult for you to understand this phenomena. But what is pramanas? Pramanas are how you try to understand the world, how you try to gain knowledge. Now you have something in front of you. According to you, a fat person must be eating all day long. But here you have a fat person who doesn't eat at all in a day. So what you do is that you use arthapati. You simply assume that this fat person must be eating at night, because eating and becoming fat has a direct correlation. Now if I find out that the person is not eating in the day, that means in order to understand this fact, I have to assume that the person must be eating at night. So if you can relate it to the mathematical formulas that we used to work with during our graduation or during our secondary education, we used to assume, let this person be X, because without assumption you cannot draw a valid conclusion. So when you cannot understand something which is unknown or unseen, you simply assume. This is arthapati. Now we come on to the fifth kind of pramanas. Now this table of pramanas, the list of pramanas gets even more complicated when we try to understand what is anuplabdhi, which is the fifth kind of pramanas. Now anuplabdhi basically means anything which is absent. So aplabdhi means you have achieved something. Anuplabdhi means you haven't achieved anything. So anuplabdhi basically is the negative of uplabdhi. So let's understand the concept. According to the Indian logic, things exist either in positive or negative relation to the environment. That means positive relation means something you can see, you can perceive through your senses. Negative relation, something you cannot perceive through your senses. For example, if I have a friend of mine in front of me, that means the person exists. If suppose there's another person who doesn't come in front of me, that means that person doesn't exist right now in my room. So anything can either be having a positive or a negative relation to the surrounding. According to anuplabdhi, something which you cannot see must be faced or looked as absent. For example, my brother is doing CLAT preparation. So he has to give a lot of arguments in order to become a good lawyer. So what happens is that he gets a case in front of him where there are 5 suspects, 5 people who might have murdered a person. So out of these 5, any one is the murderer. Now how do you get to the murderer? Now if I get to know that there is this person A who was not in the town in which the murder was committed on that particular day, we assume that this person must not have committed the murder since he was absent from the town. So the absence is a proof in itself. So you can see anuplabdhi means that if a person is absent, that means we can gain a lot of knowledge from his absence as well. Suppose there are a lot of rats running in my room. That means the cat is absent, because if the cat would have been there, the rats would not have been there. So the absence of cat shows there is something which we need to understand. So you can see how anuplabdhi can also contribute in the system of knowledge by explaining us a lot of things. A person who is absent from that town, who is not there in that town that night, will be considered to be guilt-free, to not be the charge of the murderer, because he was absent. His absence is a proof in itself. There are a lot of rats. So this shows that there is no cat. The absence of the cat tells us that there can be a lot of rats in the house. The final kind of pramanas is shabd. Now we have looked at 5 kinds of pramanas, and there are still a lot of things which we know today, and the things that we know today are not taken from any of the 5 above mentioned pramanas. So how did we gain knowledge about those things? For example, how does aluminium work, or how does earth rotates around the sun? We don't know, we have not perceived that knowledge, so it's not pratyaksh. We have not given any analogy about it, but still we know so many things about earth, its rotation and solar system. We have not seen solar system from our naked eyes, yet we know so much about it. How did we gather so much knowledge about these kinds of stuff? That is through books, through newspaper, through written material. So shabd is verbal testimony. That means if you have taken some knowledge from an authentic source, then that knowledge is said to be authentic and that cannot be challenged. For example, if you look at the Indian education system, it gives a lot of importance on guru, and what the guru says, that cannot be challenged, because he is said to be a person whose words have weightage, whose words we can rely on. So if you look at Ved, Puranas, Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge that we have in all these great scriptures, we find out that we can directly follow the teachings, directly rely on the facts written there. We don't need to authenticate these facts because they are coming from a very reliable source. We are assuming the fact that all these people who have written these great books, they have stood the test of the time and they know a lot of things which we can accept as it is. So that is shabd. That means when you try to learn from the books and when you try to understand a lot of things that is happening around us by the way of reading about it. So that's it for this video lecture. I would like to take your leave, and I hope that the 6 types of pramanas that I have explained in this video must help you in your examination preparation. I wish you all the best for the upcoming exam. Also put all your questions and queries in the comment box below so that I get to make new videos on these topics. Apart from that, if you have any other queries, questions about the online course that we are giving for UGC NET preparation, you can contact on the number displayed above, or you can even visit my website arpitakarwa.com. Apart from that, you can follow me on all the social media platforms. The comments that I receive and the messages that I receive on all these social media platforms, I personally address them. So make sure that if you have any confusion, any problems that you're facing in life, in your preparative journey, you write us on the social media platforms. The links of the same are given in the description below. So that's it for this video lecture. We'll meet very soon in the next video lecture. Till the time we meet next, happy learning, keep loving literature, and stay tuned to arpitakarwa.com.